and welcome to my channel. My name's Créde Sheehy-Kelly. I'm a high-performance psychologist for traders, and you can stick around on this channel for more tips and techniques to help you to sharpen your trading mental edge. Today we're talking about how to avoid going on tilt in your trading, and specifically 5 practical things that you can implement in your trading to really reduce the likelihood of this happening for you. And I know that this is a huge issue for traders because with the thousands of traders that I've worked with, this issue comes up again and again. So you might start out your trading day with the best of intentions of executing your plan to a T. And then somewhere along the line, you're in the market, a few things have gone wrong for you, and the anger starts rising, or the frustration, the impatience, and suddenly it's like somebody else has taken over the wheel. So it's like somebody else is in the driver's seat of your trading. And this makes sense because it's actually a coping mechanism that humans can use under pressure. So it's not one that I would recommend using, but this is where it comes from. It's called dissociation. When we're under immense pressure as humans, sometimes we use this technique so that we can actually detach from the emotions and the consequences of what's happening in order to allow us to cope better with it. And often we learn this coping mechanism when we're children, and then we apply it in different areas of our lives. So if you're somebody that goes on tilt in your trading, it's likely that you will also be using this coping mechanism of dissociation in other areas of your life. So for example, in a fight in a relationship, maybe you switch off, numb out, and you go and binge on Netflix afterwards so that you don't have to actually feel the emotions that are coming up for you. So that's one example of switching off in a state of high pressure or high stress. But if we use this coping mechanism, then it's definitely going to show up for us in our trading. And that shows up as going on tilt. So now that we understand a little bit about what's happening, how do we actually address this? So if we think about dissociation is numbing out, so allowing you to kind of divorce from the consequences and the actions that you're taking, and so that you only feel the consequences of that when you're well out of the market, then the key to overcoming it is to actually stay present. So as the pressure rises, as you've taken losses, as things aren't going your way, to stay fully present, fully conscious, and fully rooted in your body. And that reduces the likelihood of you switching into this autopilot mode, which essentially is going on tilt. So if you want to not revenge trade, if you want to respect your daily loss limits, if you want to make sure that you're actually exiting at stops when you're supposed to be, staying present is the absolute key to doing this. So let's talk about 5 practical ways that you can actually do this. So how can you put this into action? So the first one is naming your emotions. So this might sound really simple, but there's actual research to say that if you name your emotions, you can actually kind of reduce the charge of them, or you can reduce the power of them over you. So even by consciously naming your emotions as you sit in the market and you feel the urge to revenge trade, to stay in the trade too long, or however this shows up for you, actually take a split second to say out loud the emotion that you're feeling. And that's enough to just disrupt that automatic process where you're feeling a strong emotion, this pressure and stress is rising, and then you're about to take the action that's going to sabotage your trading. If you can disrupt that automatic process by naming the emotion. So usually if you're going on tilt, it's going to be an emotion like frustration, fear, worry, anger, any of those. Those emotions charge you up, and then they lead to you taking the actions. But if you can bring your conscious mind to the emotion that you're feeling, that can help disrupt it. So name it out loud. And there is research to say that that can actually help you to stay connected and stay more conscious so that you remain in the driver's seat. So it's a really simple technique. It takes half a second to implement. But if you consistently get into the habit of doing that, then you're starting to train yourself not to divorce yourself from the consequences or the reality of the situation. You're starting to train yourself to stay present when the pressure comes on. Tip number 2 is journal after every trade. And this is a habit that I would absolutely recommend that everybody gets into, and that you do it after every trade, win or lose. So it's something that you consistently implement as a mental training technique or as a technique to work on your trading psychology, but you don't only just implement it when things have gone bad. And it does not have to be 2 A4 pages of a huge diary entry where you're spilling your guts. This can be as simple as 3 points. But the key to getting value from it is to do it consistently. So the first point you would write down is the emotion that you were feeling while you were in the trade. And this does two things. So it keeps you connected, keeps you in the driver's seat, keeps you present in your body and connected with what's going on for you while you're trading. So that's absolutely key to overcoming or stopping going on tilt. And the second thing it does is it gives you really useful information that builds up self-awareness. So if you're looking at your trading and reviewing it over a longer time period, then you can actually start to see patterns of the emotions that regularly show up for you in the market. And that's so useful because it tells you how you operate under stress. And, you know, if you're somebody that is not dealing well with the pressure of being in the market, you're going to see emotions like fear, anger, frustration, resentment show up an awful lot. And that tells you then that working on how you deal with pressure is going to make a big difference to your trading. So really important is just name the emotion that you were feeling while you're in the trade. The second thing that you do is just note down whether you executed your trading plan as you had intended or not. And so like I said, you're going to do this after every trade, win or lose. So sometimes, yes, you will have stuck to it and sometimes you won't have. And on the occasions where you didn't stick to it, just write down the action that you took that demonstrated that you were deviating from your trading plan. So for example, I stayed in the trade too long. I ignored my stop. I went over my daily loss limit. So again, this is keeping you conscious, keeping you present and connected with the consequences of your actions, but it's also giving you useful information to build up your self-awareness and to work with to start really permanently ending these trading challenges. So really simple technique, journaling, keep it on a spreadsheet, like actually keep this data, so don't throw it away at the end of the trading day. And this will be so helpful for your weekly reviews and your monthly reviews as well. So simple technique, takes about maybe 5 seconds, and it's something that everybody can definitely do. Technique number 3, or tip number 3, is use progressive muscle relaxation. And this is something that I have an audio on in my Go Deep to Level Up Your Trading course because it's such a powerful technique. And this is something that you can do outside of trading, so as a kind of meditation or a relaxation for your body. And it's something then that you can shorten into a quick technique that you can actually implement while you're sitting there in front of your computer, in front of your monitors, while you're in the market. So basically, it's a technique that helps you to consciously release tension from your muscles. And there's a bit of meditation in it, a bit of breathing, and a bit of actually activating your muscles and then releasing them. So there's a sequence to how you go through this. And I might do another video specifically around this, but you can look it up. You'll see information on this in lots of places. So progressive muscle relaxation. But basically, it's different to just doing a meditation where you relax your whole body because you're forcing your muscles to release tension. And that's a really helpful way to physically stay connected to your body while you're trading. So again, key to resolving going on tilt. But it also helps you to get really skilled at relaxing on demand. So it's a coping skill or a strategy to help you deal with the increased pressure that you're feeling in the market. And you'll only go on tilt when you're feeling under pressure. That's what will trigger this sequence of events. So if you can keep your stress levels down and keep that fight or flight response from triggering, then you can actually continue to have more control over your mind and your emotions. So when you condense this technique down, it can be as simple as squeezing like your right fist, taking 2 deep breaths, squeezing your left fist, releasing the tension, taking 2 deep breaths. And that's something that you can implement at any point in your trading day just to stay connected to your body and release all of that tension and stress. Tip number 4, hold yourself accountable. And there's a theme through all these tips, and most of them link with being accountable. But if you want to do this in a very conscious way, to make sure that you're not over focusing on the P&L, which is going to create more pressure for you, then set performance goals. So these are goals that actually hold you accountable to the execution of your trading plan. You'll probably hear me talk about these in every single video because they are so important for your trading. So instead of setting a profit goal for a trade, obviously you'll have your take profit target, but instead of setting, you know, I want to make this much money, or even maybe for the day of trading, I have this target to make this much money in the day. Set goals that focus on the execution of your trading plan. So I want to make sure that 90% or more of all my trades fit my A+ setup criteria. I want to make sure that every trade that I exit, I have exited according to my trading plan or having hit my target. So goals like that hold you accountable. They stop you from over focusing on the P&L, because one of the things of going on tilt is that as you start losing, you start banking up this debt in your head of what you want to actually, come back from. And that can absolutely cause you to go past your daily loss limit and just keep trading and trade yourself into a hole. So if you can hold yourself accountable to these stats, it helps you to stop focusing on the P&L, which is actually key to succeeding in trading. So set these goals and track them and review them at the end of the day. So actually track your metrics against these goals every day. And if you do that consistently day after day, you'll start shifting your mindset to authentically buy into the idea that success in trading is actually the successful execution of your trading plan. Lastly, so this is probably the most complex of these tips, but it's still a very practical, easy one to implement, is a decision tree. So this is like a plan that you make when you're away from the market, you're in a very rational, logical space in your mind, and you actually map out the actions that you will take if you find yourself starting to go on tilt in your trading. So you'll have a trigger point in that decision tree, which is the emotion that you normally feel before you go on tilt. So whenever I start feeling, anger over a level of maybe 6 out of 10, so say 10 out of 10 is like bull in a china shop, then maybe that if you get to a 6 out of 10, the likelihood of you going on tilt increases. So you have some sort of checkpoint where okay, if this happens, then I have to implement my decision tree. So like it's a warning signal to me. If this starts happening in my trading, then I need to be careful. And again, it's all about staying connected and staying conscious. So you choose what that trigger point is. And it could even be, when I lose 2 trades in a row, if you know what sets you off, that starts the ball rolling on you going on tilt, choose that as the trigger point for this decision tree. And then you literally plan out a sequence of actions that you'll take if that starts happening. And it's to disrupt this automatic process again of something triggering you, the emotions rising, feeling under pressure, and then going hell for leather on just over trading and breaking all your rules. You want to disrupt that as early in that process as possible. So your decision tree could be as simple as I step away from my computer, I have a cup of tea, and I come back 5 minutes later. I step away from my computer and I do some progressive muscle relaxation for 5 minutes. So you can combine these techniques together. I step away from my computer and I go for a walk around the block and I come back. So anything to just stop this process from happening automatically in its tracks, to help you stay connected to yourself and stay connected to the consequences of your actions. So you can decide the actions that you put into that sequence. And it can be very simple. It can literally be, I notice the trigger, I take this one action, I come back, I re-rate myself. So am I still a 6 out of 10 in anger levels or above? And if you're not, let's say you've had that cup of tea, you've done some progressive muscle relaxation and you've dropped to a 4 out of 10, then maybe that's safe for you to actually go and enter the market again. So you decide that sequence. But the key is that you do this away from your trading. So you've already put this plan in motion. You've thought about it. You've thought about the actions that will work for you. And then you just implement it when you're actually finding yourself starting to go on tilt. So that trigger event happens. You go, okay, yeah, I know exactly what to do because my logical, sane mind has figured this out previously. And then you just implement that as a technique. And that can actually save you very early on in the process from going on tilt. Now, I will say as a last tip that you have to be easier on yourself. If you're somebody that regularly goes on tilt, if this is a big feature of your trading, then it's likely that you've set down kind of patterns and habits of behavior and thinking and even brain chemistry that leads you in that direction. So overcoming this will take persistence and implementing these techniques that I've described day in, day out, and you will actually train yourself to move away from going on tilt and to move towards staying more connected. But it is something that takes practice, and you will have times where you use these techniques at first and it feels awkward or it doesn't work. So keep persisting with them, because you're basically trying to retrain your mind and your body, and your brain chemistry, to stay connected, stay present when you're under pressure. And if this is this dissociation is something that you're experiencing in other areas of your life, all of these types of techniques will work as well for those situations. So if you're working on this in terms of your trading, then why not also try it in other areas of your life if you find that that's a way of coping with stress that shows up regularly for you. So I hope that's been helpful. Please do like, subscribe, and share this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.